In 2004, Blockbuster dominated the DVD rental market, but in 2010, it filed for bankruptcy. So what went wrong? This is a classic example of a war that has been harped on for the past 2 decades, and businesses are keeping their eyes peeled all the time because if it gets out of control, they're done for. This is disruption, a phrase brought into the business world by Professor Clayton Christensen and his bestseller book, The Innovator's Dilemma. But what is disruption and how does it work? It all began with Joseph Alois Schumpeter. Schumpeter was once finance minister of Austria, but he later became a professor in Harvard. In 1942, he published a book, Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy. It introduced a concept called creative destruction, in which waves of creation would sweep incumbents under the rug, and entrepreneurship and novel ideas are valued, and with it an increase in the product quality. In 1986, McKinsey director Richard Foster observed an S-curve relationship between effort and performance. More importantly, it was applied to technologies, where S-curves would stack on top of each other, increasing performance as they go. However, the problem lies in the overlap, where everyone asks the question, to hop on or to stay. If a current company switches to a new system, it's a risky investment and the new one might fail. However, new entrants to the business world would have no qualms about riding these new curves, and where some of these curves fail, others will rise far above the incumbents. On the other hand, the incumbents that do not switch may lose to the new wave, and this is disruption. Alas, this still doesn't explain why the new curve might do better, or why Netflix went 2 for 2, outcompeting Blockbuster and furthermore successfully riding the wave of streaming. Around Christensen's time, a Harvard economist, Rebecca Henderson, had published a work on architectural innovations, describing large-scale innovations as systemic changes. With the collaborator Kim Clark, they pointed out that all systems are formed with parts. Changing a part is simple, you can always change it back if needed, but how they work together, the shape of the system, and how the parts move in tandem with one another are much more difficult to organize from an existing system. For example, Henry Ford once remarked that while asking customers how to get around faster, they simply asked for a faster horse. Cars were just a completely different system not thought about at the time. In essence, Netflix's DVD delivery system was a new business model with machinery to sort and deliver DVDs, delivery trackers, and subscriptions. This business model would not have been easily adopted by Blockbuster, which relied on regular flow through physical stores rather than remote viewing. So, when is a firm disrupted? Disrupted firms fail. That's not to say that all firms that failed were disrupted. Firms might also fail due to a variety of reasons, such as fraud, embezzlement, corruption, and mismanagement, essentially doing what would not work at all. Disruption is special in that continuing to do what works and what should work still leads companies to an eventual doom. So, disruption gives success a use-by date. What worked before may survive but will eventually stop working. Even if new entrants are bought over, another company will come in with an even more potent disruption. And so this is the dilemma, that businesses are never guaranteed to succeed, whether they hop onto the new curves or not. However, before we all burst into tears, it's not all bad. Disruption allows more popular products, which are generally better for all of us, to win out. New waves will come, and incumbents can surf on them and hope for the best. But sooner or later, empires fall.